What's up, basketball fans? I'm Ranger X, and today I'm kind of going to be looking at the potential of Damian Lillard and why he's the ultimate sleeper point guard in today's NBA. He sort of flies under the radar because, for the most part, when it comes to social media, he's not crazy flashy or boisterous, and not a lot of people have seen him play because of the team that he plays on, where they are location-wise, and because there aren't too many other flashy players on the team. But today I'm going to show you guys why he is the ultimate point guard to grab in real life or in 2K. So basically, to start things off, kind of just want to say this isn't a Damian Lillard like sob story or like dick riding fest or anything like that. But really, I want to just like take a look at his career and how equipped he is in terms of abilities, not just as a point guard but as a player as well. So since 2012, all we can really say are positive things about him. He has great court vision, uncanny scoring ability, and he has a cool, calm, and like collected persona, kind of like D Wade, that keeps his teammates in check. I don't think that his abilities currently are being recognized by the NBA, and if Portland doesn't really do something soon, they're going to lose him, because I don't think any player in this modern era wants their career to be wasted on a mediocre team. So he's loyal and he's sticking it out right now, but I think free agency time comes and the perfect opportunity with a different team comes, he's going to leave. So today I'm going to analyze three things need to be looked at to understand kind of why he is a very important player to have on your team and why you need to get him like now. For GMs or 2K players in general, he's a really good player to have. So for number one, he scores at will. So scoring ability isn't something to take for granted in the NBA. We see great scorers come through the years, but not a lot of players can do it night in and night out. So a lot of players can go on like little short streaks here, have little surges of scoring and get hot from time to time, sort of like J.R. Smith, Jamal Crawford. He can put up steady numbers as well, but not at the highest amount of volume. But this guy can give you consistent, efficient scoring. I believe that he can go toe-to-toe with the top scoring guys in the league, like Curry and Westbrook, and I actually believe that he actually excels a little bit past them because of his varied game. He can hit the three-pointer, he gets hot from there. You can also burst past you with a jolt of speed and dunk on your big man, or you can finish the and one layup. So as a point guard, this gets very dangerous because it creates unpredictability and on the court, and prevents defenders from being able to lock you down. So because he kind of has some of Curry's shooting ability to an extent, and he sort of has some strength and speed and athleticism that Westbrook has. This makes him a very dangerous hybrid of those two players. So he can't do either of their unique abilities to the extremities that they can, but he really does have the dream of what we always thought about when we say like, what would Westbrook look like with a shot, or how dangerous would Curry be if he could actually like burst past people and dunk. So if you really want to see what that looks like, just watch some D-Lil highlights. I promise you're going to see it. I'm going to show you some numbers here. I'm not a huge fan of stats and numbers because they don't really tell the whole story. But if you look here, I kind of looked up the career averages for points per game some other stats as well, of Curry, Westbrook, and Lillard, and I hid the names so that way you could see them in an unbiased way. Just by looking at the numbers, you can tell that all three players are really similar in their stat lines, but you're going to see here that I'm going to uncover them now. The first player is Damian Lillard, the second player, Steph Curry, and the third player is Westbrook. So as you can see, Curry and Westbrook, even with monstrous seasons in like the past 2 to 3 years, they're only 0.3 and 0.5 above Lillard, respectively, in the points per game category. And every other category, they're relatively similar. All the categories are relatively similar, with each one beating each other out in a category or two. So, he does fall very close when it comes to the top point guards in the league that we consider to be the best. He falls in the middle when it comes to effective field goal percentage for their career, and last year, along with some other stats. When it comes to field goal percentage, Lillard and Westbrook are in similar situations where they play because they both demand a lot of attention on offense. They're both the main ball handlers. I consider Curry to be a main ball handler as well, but you can't look at his numbers too seriously because he has a lot more. He has a bigger supporting cast to draw the defense away. It's also worth noting that Lillard's turnovers per game are much lower than Westbrook's, and they're kind of slightly lower than Curry's. But once again, Curry is playing on a team where he's not as responsible for all the ball handling duties because he has Iguodala, he has Clay, he's got Draymond, he's got a lot of assist giving guys. Where on Damian Lillard, he carries most of the offensive duties. So as you can see, Lillard fares pretty well. I mean, you guys are probably wondering why he's not an all-star point guard every single year in the West. But I think I forgot to mention that his offensive ability has kept the Blazers above 500 every year, and in the playoffs almost every year in the Western Conference, which is stacked. The second thing I'm going to talk about is him being an Iron Man. So when it comes to staying healthy and battling the whole season, Lillard is in pretty high company because he's never played under 75 games in the season in his career and has had 3 straight seasons of 82 games played. Yeah, that was in the beginning, but I mean, the last 2 seasons he's played 75 games apiece, which is it's not bad at all, considering there are players like Wade who played in the 60s and in the 70s, you know, kind of floating around that range. It's good that we get to see him a lot, and he's always out there battling. I mean, that's worth a lot of kudos because a lot of stars, like I just mentioned with D Wade, a lot of them take off time to rest, and their teams don't really need them sometimes. But I can make the argument for the last 2 to 3 years, D-Lil has received very little help besides McCollum, and has basically dragged the Trailblazers to the playoffs almost every single year. In the West, I have to add that again, because the West is so much different from the East. The East is trash. In the past couple years, in terms of competition, the variation between competition, it's such a huge disparity. So saying in the West, it really means something. I mean, other top point guards such as Stephen Curry, Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, they also have high games played totals, but it's worth noting that Damian Lillard, in comparison to the other 3 that I just mentioned, he's never suffered any major injuries. He doesn't have any lingering ones either. I mean, like the other 3. So this makes him really valuable because it's almost as if he needs no tune-ups or future pitch stops, you know, coming up in the foreseeable future. The last thing I want to talk about, the third thing I want to kind of touch on is, I mean, his nickname is Big Game Dame, and he has not missed a big shot or like, you know, MJ, all that. And there's some other stuff people call everybody, you know, the Black Mamba, but I mean, Big Game Dame is something worth noting because this really is how he plays when the bright lights are on. I mean, if you look at it, all of our beloved point guards in the league that we consider to be the best, they are kind of known for not showing up in the biggest games. So if you look here, Damian Lillard has a collection of buzzer beaters, game winners, and he even has a series closing game winning shot against the Rockets back in 2014, I believe. It was the game 6 and he hit it. Yeah, they were 3-2 and he sealed the game. It was like their first time getting to the playoffs, and not getting to the playoffs, getting to the second round in 14 years. I mean, Blazers fans were going crazy. This clutch ability is just something that, even though some people think it's not that impressive, I'm bringing it up because whenever a Kobe versus LeBron argument comes up, or an MJ versus LeBron comparison occurs, like, people love bringing up clutch factors. So I mean, if it's a factor, then it has to be a factor now. If that's the case, Lillard has to be considered one of the best point guards in the league, if not the best, if that is taken into consideration. Curry and Westbrook are both infamous for throwing away big games or cracking under pressure, whether it's by turnovers or by just missing big shots or failing to, you know, demand the ball in high pressure situations. I mean, Lillard is the best by far when it comes to these 3 in the league, and I mean, even compared to other point guards, and he's probably one of the best clutch players, period. I pulled up a stat line from Bleacher Report. This is from 2014, and it shows his stat line through 15 regular season games and overtime. I mean, in overtime games from 2014, he went 30. I mean, these are video game numbers. 30 for 44. That's 68.1%. He hit 11 out of 19 3-pointers. That's 57.9%. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. That's almost 60%. And from free throw, he hit 19 out of 20. So that means he shot 95% from the free throw line. I mean, this guy is unstoppable in overtime. Then there's another website that I use besides Basketball Reference to look up some stuff. I mean, NBA Miner, they have a really good website. I looked up some clutch stats. So there's like a stipulation on here for the stat lines and what they consider clutch situations. It says that during the fourth quarter or overtime with less than 5 minutes remaining, Neither team is ahead by more than 5 points. So a lot of situations are going to get left off of here for a lot of players where the team was probably ahead by 5 points and then they turned up the heat. But if you look here, Westbrook, yeah, he had more points in the fourth quarter total over the whole season. But I have to add that Lillard, his game category, and the game total in that category, he had a lot less games, and he finished just like right below Westbrook and Durant during the regular season. You can see here that, I mean, during the playoffs, he performed big as well. He was like top 5 again. And last year in the regular season, he was top 3. Only people above him was Isaiah. So the only people that are actually above him in the 2016-2017 regular season in terms of clutch shots, according to this website, are Russell Westbrook and Isaiah Thomas. And, you know, everybody was going crazy about Isaiah Thomas this year that he burst out playing with the Celtics. So, I mean, that's something worth noting. The last part that I think about Damian Lillard that really makes him a great leader for any team, just a great player to have on your team, is his loyalty. I mean, this guy has been quoted saying he wants to be here. He's really invested in Portland. And quite frankly, it should be unmistakably clear that this man does not want to leave wherever he is at. So if I were a team out there and needed an all-star scoring guard, whether it's a 1 or a 2, I mean, this man is the missing piece to a title. Like, wherever he goes, he is not leaving. He's kind of like an old school player. He's like a play it out kind of guy. I mean, this is what you need in today's league, whether you like it or not, if you're a GM. I mean, with players realizing that they don't owe these teams anything, because these teams will use you and toss you to the side. This man I think he realizes sooner or later he's going to have to leave them during free agency because the Blazers they're not trying to bring in help. I mean, so as a GM, if you know that, you see how great a value that is, knowing that he wants to stay and he wants to build. That's really important because a lot of other guys, like, I'm just going to bring up Kyrie Irving because this is recent. People like Kyrie, you know, other guards, they made it very clear that they do not want to stay somewhere long term. I mean, so if I'm a team like the Spurs, I'm looking for him I'm going to tell him, hey, you can finish out your career here for the next 7-8 seasons. You know, they can instantly turn into champions. Because if you put him on any sort of contender, he turns them into a whole different squad with his scoring ability, because he's not a dud on defense either. He plays some defense. So I mean, with his scoring ability and his his decision making on the court, because he doesn't commit a lot of turnovers. He had the lowest out of the 3 that I compared between him, Curry, and Westbrook. They could easily dethrone the Warriors in the West, and the Spurs were already close to doing so in that first game of last year. We saw Kawhi go down. We have to remember that before Kawhi went down with that injury, the Spurs were dominating the Warriors. And the Spurs, they're a playoff built team. So you know that even though Lillard is, you know, he's very resilient to injury, I mean, he could definitely last all throughout there, and that could be a dynasty. I mean, you can go to other squads too that are contenders. I'm just listing one for an example, but I mean, this guy is the complete package. So I'm pretty sure now you guys see why I believe Damian Lillard is currently one of the most slept on players in the league, and why they should be considering him a top tier point guard, if not the best point guard in the league. I mean, he's definitely a superstar in today's league with the ability to take over a game with his scoring at any given point, along with his ability to lead a team sort of to the promised land. I mean, because he's playing on a dud squad right now. We haven't seen him win before, but trust me when I say he has the potential. I mean, he performs under pressure, along with his willingness to do what's best for the team, you know, putting the team above himself. That's the stuff you can't teach. So, yeah, stay tuned. I'm going to be putting together some more videos, you know, one for every position in the league, including backups for each position as well. So let me know in the comments who else you think I should do, or if you believe I got this one wrong. If I got this slept on for the point guard spot wrong. Because if that's the case, who is better than Damian Lillard? I mean, I might listen to a John Wall argument or an Isaiah Thomas argument in terms of slept on, but I really think that no one considers Damian Lillard to be a top point guard. And yeah, just let me know what you guys think. This is Ranger X, and I'll catch you guys later.